Hey, so I haven't made a video in a while, so I kind of wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about wearing contacts. I have been wearing contacts since I was in 7th grade, so I guess that would be 8th, 9th. That's about 8 years now. I've gone through a lot of different kinds of contacts, different brands, and I've learned a lot over the 8 years of wearing them, so I figured I would make a video. So I guess we'll just get right into it. Let me start off with a little bit of history about me and what I've gone through in my contact journey. When I first found out I needed glasses, I wanted contacts right away. I knew right away that I didn't want to wear glasses, but they were expensive and I was young and my parents weren't sure if I was going to take care of them properly. I waited about a year, so when I got into 7th grade, my parents decided that I could go get checked to start wearing contacts. I think it was like a birthday present or something like that. I went to the eye doctor. I believe I just went to like Lens Crafters. I went to Lens Crafters and they have a doctor there, and I had an appointment and they updated my prescription, and then she fit me for, I started off wearing AccuView Moist daily contact lenses, and those are obviously ones that you're going to put in every day and then throw out at the end of the day. I had a lot of trouble in the beginning trying to figure out how to put them in. I would literally have to wake up an hour earlier for school than I would normally and spend an hour trying to put my contacts in, and they would fall out or they would hurt, they would be dirty by the time I touched them 10 times, so I'd have to take them back out and clean them and put them back in. Sometimes I would have to open a new pair. It was really hard for me in the beginning to get the hang of it, but it was kind of just something that I had to continue practicing. You have to get used to the motion of opening your eye and sticking your finger in your eye, because if you're not used to that, then you're gonna flinch and it's very hard to like get comfortable doing, and you end up touching the contact lens a lot, so that's going to make it dirty, and then by the time you actually get it in, it's gonna hurt and you're gonna be uncomfortable for the rest of the day. It took me a few weeks to get comfortable putting in the contact lenses, and after I kind of got used to that, it was a lot easier. And for probably about 4 years, I guess. Yeah, around 4 or 5 years, I wore those contact lenses and they were great. I loved them. I didn't have any issues with them. I loved those contact lenses. They were comfortable by the time that you would get them in, as long as they were clean. I wouldn't feel them throughout the day, and it was great to be able to see and not have to worry about glasses and not have to worry about taking care of the lenses, because I know that I was really lucky to start off with daily contact lenses. After about the 4 or 5 years, I started to get really dry eyes by the end of the day, or if I was outside too long, my eyes would get really dry and my contact lenses would be dry and I'd have to blink a lot, and it was really uncomfortable. I made an appointment with my new eye doctor because we had changed insurances and all that. So I made a new appointment and she fit me to try the AccuView Oasis daily contact lenses, which are similar. They're still the AccuView brand and they were still daily, but they were the Oasis instead of the Moist brand contact lenses. When I tried them on at the doctor, they seemed much thicker than the Moist contact lenses, and she had told me that it was like a new material that they had made the lenses out of or something. I don't know, but it was like a much thicker, just when you would hold the lens in your finger, it was much thicker. It wasn't like a thin contact lens. It felt like it was double the thickness of the Moist contact lenses. So I tried them and they felt okay at the doctor. I didn't really have any issues, but as the days went on, a few weeks passed and I had ordered a year's supply, I believe, or a 6-month supply of those contact lenses, which you should never do unless you have tested them for a good amount of time. Usually the eye doctor will give you samples if you're testing out a new lens, because it's the worst idea to order a 6-month or a year supply of lenses that you haven't really tested out, because I ended up not liking them, but I still had to finish the 6 months that I had left of the contact lenses because they're extremely expensive. And I mean, maybe if you have the money to spare, but my parents weren't going to buy me a whole new 6-month supply of the contact lenses. So I had to finish using those, and I didn't like them very much. They weren't horrible, but they were uncomfortable, and they didn't fix the issue of the dryness. Backtrack. She had said that these lenses would help with keeping my eyes moist and not get so dry because of the material that they were made out of or something. They didn't help at all with the dryness. I still got extremely dry eyes by the end of the day, or if I kept my eyes open for a really long time. They were actually worse because they were so thick that I could like feel them moving in my eye when they would get dry. If you've had contacts, you know that like when they're dry and you blink, they don't really stay in the right spot of your eye. They like slide up or down and then they slide back into place. It doesn't feel very good, and with the thicker contact lens, it was super uncomfortable. So I didn't like those. I finished those off, and then by the time I was done with those, I switched back to the AccuView Moist contact lenses because my eye doctor had suggested that if a different brand of contact lens didn't work, then maybe I could go back to the daily AccuView Moist and just use something like an artificial tear drop or something that would help my eyes stay more moist. She wasn't sure what contact lenses would help, and it's kind of like it's different for everyone. So I went back to those because I was comfortable in them, and I tried using the artificial tears for the 6-month supply that I had of those. So around when I finished those, I was moving out of my house and into my own apartment. Obviously, contacts are very expensive, so I had to stop using the daily contact lenses because I was now paying for them myself, and I had to figure out something else that would be slightly cheaper. So I went back to my doctor. I told her that I wanted to start something like a weekly or a monthly contact lens that would be less expensive. She explained to me that the weekly contact lenses were not a huge price difference from the daily contact lenses. The weekly contact lenses were only going to go down to $120 for a 3-month supply. So for those $20, I would have rather had the daily contact lenses. It wasn't like a good enough save to switch over. So the weekly contact lenses weren't really an option. She told me that the best option would probably be the bi-weekly contact lenses, which would be you switch them every 2 weeks, and that goes up to $140 for a 6-month supply. So you do have to lay out the same amount of money, but it lasts for double the amount of time. She also explained that the monthly contact lenses were only going to be $120 for a 6-month supply, which was again the same $20 difference just to have to wear them an extra 2 weeks, which I didn't think was worth it, and she doesn't usually suggest that, she said. After having tried the AccuView Moist and the AccuView Oasis, both daily, she fitted me for the AccuView Oasis bi-weekly contact lenses. I had the issue with the Oasis daily because they were so thick, and I mentioned that, and she told me that the bi-weekly were made out of a different material than the daily Oasis. I tried them on and they didn't feel as thick as the Oasis, which is what I didn't like. They felt closer to the AccuView Moist. So she fitted me for those. I took them home along with another sample pair so that I could try them out for about a month before I placed the order and decided I wanted to get them and pay for them. The first couple days were fine. They felt just like the daily contact lenses, but I wasn't being very careful about taking care of them. I wasn't thoroughly washing my hands every time I touched them. I wasn't cleaning out the container that they were held in. I would switch the water, but I wasn't like really cleaning it out good. After about a week, they started to get pretty uncomfortable. I started to feel like there was something in my eye, kind of like an eyelash or something like that. So I tried to clean them extra. By the end of the 2 weeks, when I would throw them away, I started to get, if you've ever had a sty, it kind of felt like that. It was a little bump on my eye, and it was kind of uncomfortable. It wasn't as swollen or as bad as a sty usually is, but maybe it was like the beginning of one, or if it was like maybe just bacteria or something. It didn't feel good. My eye was hurting, so I threw out those and I opened the next 2-week pair. I tried those, and again, for the first couple days they were fine. And then I tried very hard to be very clean with them, very careful with them, put them, you know, in clean solution, in a clean container, make sure I washed my hands really good. I decided that I was gonna have to tolerate the bi-weekly contacts because I couldn't afford to have the daily. I just figured I needed to be more careful and just to make sure that they stayed clean and I wasn't getting, you know, dirt or anything in my eye that was gonna cause them to be uncomfortable. And I ordered the 6-month supply of the bi-weekly Oasis contact lenses, and I have been using those contacts ever since for the last year or two, and they're fine. I would much rather be in daily contact lenses. The day that I get to throw them out and I don't have to put them back in the solution is like my favorite day. I'm just very lazy and I don't like having to get up out of bed at night if I forgot and like take out my contacts. And it's obviously much easier in the morning to open a new pair and pop them right in and then throw them out at night, but it's fine, it's tolerable. My eyes don't really get uncomfortable anymore other than the like last few days that I'm wearing them. If I forget that it's been 2 weeks, that definitely reminds me. As soon as they start getting uncomfortable, I can check the calendar and I'm like, oh, that's why it's been 2 weeks, I need to change them. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm not sure when I will be able to go back to the daily contact lenses, but yeah, that is my contact journey, history, all the things that I have gone through. So I think that that's kind of all I have to say. I mean, I'm not like a super expert on contacts, but I have been wearing them for a really long time and I have tried a couple different kinds. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful to at least one person. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.